Hello, Grid. This is Danielle Palloschi-Browne and Raj Tamang, and we are here for our Builder series, How to Read Floor Plans. And today, or how to read blueprints in particular, and architectural drawings. And today we're going to be going and continuing our conversation about floor plans and how to read the important key components of floor plan documents while designing a house or designing a major renovation on a flip or development project. So, Raj, I think you have some examples of floor plans that you wanted to pull up.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to pull that up for you now.
This is the same house we showed last time. So now I'm going over to the floor plan. So this is the cover sheet that we discussed. Now these are the floor plans, right? Let's say this house is 2-story house with a basement. So you can see it, 3-car garage, 2-story above ground, and basement. So when you say that floor plans, of course, you have to have a plan for each floor, including basement plan. So you have a basement plan, you have first floor plan, and you have a second floor plan, right?
Yep.
That's simple. So this is the basement plan. You see it. First floor plan, and this is second floor plan. This is a roof plan too. So we also draw a roof plan. It's not necessarily you need it. I would say for this is kind of a little bit helpful on construction, but this is a part of it you need it for permit documents to show what kind of slope you have, if it's flat roof or if it's slope roof, hip roof, shade roof. There are different type of roof. You have to show it on the plan, and also you will see in elevations. For example, this house I mentioned before, this is a flat roof, but it looks like all a slope. The reason is this is still a flat roof, but there is no such a thing as a flat roof, because you have to remember, if it's a flat roof, if it is raining, that means rain is staying in the place, right? It's called a water pipe. So you can't have that. So you have to have a minimum of slope, which is usually 1 in 48, quarter inch per foot.
For the slope. Got it.
So you have to have that minimum slope. So on the roof, you have a house and big roof like this, flat roof. I'm still showing the slope, how I have to divert the water from the roof towards the edges. And there is definitely, I have gutters, downspots, right? So sometimes you might have a concealed gutter. So we can talk about later. But sometimes it's traditionally, you just have gutters around the roof perimeter, and you have downspout, bringing the water down to the ground. Right? So those information is still you have to show on the plan. So going back to the basement plan, right? This is how you start. So this is a basement plan. If you see, this is a fully buried basement. So how do I know? The best way to find out if it's fully buried basement or it's a walkout basement or a semi, you have to look at the grading plan.
Got it. So not necessarily. So is the grading plan, would that be the same as like a general basement plan, or one that you would see footers on or something like that? Or is that all the same plan, just so I make sure I know the lingo?
No. So I think I don't know what happened. My side, your side, for a minute, maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds, it just went blank.
Oh, it freeze. Okay,
yes,
it froze.
It froze. So, now it's back. You hear me okay, right?
Yep. Nope, I can hear you.
That's good.
So with the grading plan, is the grading plan the same as, say, a foundation plan or a builder plan? Like, is all of that lingo-wise, like, is all that the same thing, or do they have different language for different specific nuances of each plan?
It is. It's a different. It's a grading plan and foundation plans are different. So your foundation and framing plan, you're talking about also part of the building plan, but it's structural drawings. Okay. So all the floor plans, elevation you are talking about right now, we're talking now, is these are building plans, building permits set, but architectural portion. So the structural portion will tell you the foundation part, footings, framing, beam, columns, Those are the structural
Yep.
frame. So grading plan will show the grading of the lot, right? The civil engineering drawing outside the house.
Yeah.
So because that's very important because of several reasons. You have to make sure that your house is built in compliance with the code requirements, which is yes. And also you have to meet some of the requirements, let's say zoning requirements. What are the setbacks, right? How much you have to leave from the front, on the side, or back. That also depends on zoning. It's R1, R2, R3. It's a different, different zoning categories that the requirements are different.
Yep.
All that is shown on the grading plan. So that exactly shows where the new house you are building is being built in the whole plat, in the whole, land.
Got it. So it's a little more encompassing than just, okay, here's the basement, here are the footers. So it's a much bigger, it's a wider shot, if you will, including the lot for the grading
Correct.
plan.
You showed a lot. Exactly. And then nowadays it's called a stormwater management system, right? All the water now, because you build this new structure, it's going to create runoff, additional runoff, because when it's raining now, because of all this big impervious area, the water runoff would be higher. So you have to try to contain inside the lot. That's why you have to build some infiltration drains or planter box or rain garden. Those are the stormwater management system you have to accomplish within the site, right? That's all grading plan. The grading plan will also tell you the elevation. What is the basement elevations? What is the first floor elevation? What is the roof? All that information will be on the grading plan. So that way, if you look at the building plan, you really don't see the elevations. What is the height or depth of the basement level from the ground outside? You don't see it. You have to go to the grading plan, So now in this case, I know this is a buried basement, fully buried basement. If you go to the basement grading plan, you will see the elevations of the basement and elevation outside grade, first floor. So it's a grading, it's a fully buried basement. So you need to know that before you start working on drawing, because as an architect, as a designer, you need to know if the house will be fully buried, if it is walkout basement, semi-walkout, all that needs to be known when you design the house. Means you have to coordinate with the civil engineer in hand, side by side.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So people always call me.
You're seeing more to it.
Exactly, you need to know. So now I know it's fully buried basement means if I want to walk out from the basement, you have to have some kind of access from the basement out, right? The way is maybe from the basement you come up to the first floor, from the first floor come to the front door, then over deck, and from there you go down. That's a long route, right? But usually if you have a basement, you have access from the basement outside, not coming to the front, maybe on the back or on the side, you have a door. So if you have a door, then it's fully buried basement, how are you going to come out? So you have to make an area way. So that's, so you see in this, correct. So in this house, look at this. So I have a door. This is the basement. From the door, I'm coming up. So that's the area way. So also remember, since this is fully buried basement, this is all concrete wall. So you have this concrete wall. The way you see in the floor walls, the thickness and hatching is different versus stud wall. This is a 2x6 outside. See the thickness and the hatching? It's different. Because this first floor and second floor is stud wall, 2x6, 2x4. The basement is concrete. So all the thickness, how do you know the thickness of the concrete wall? What's the thickness of the footing? How wide are the footings are? All that information would be in a structural drawing.
Yes.
Because
so really you get a full idea just looking at even a plan like this. You really get the full idea of how thick are the walls, what are they made of, where are they sitting on the lot, what kind of topography is outside of that wall. Like you really do get a full picture of that.
Exactly. But you have to remember, you have to have a complete set of grading plan and building plan, and you give these two set of documents to a builder or contractor, and they should be able to build a house on that lot based on this drawing. So you have to make sure that this drawing is complete. It needs to be 100% complete, so that the builder should be able to understand it, right? So that's why make sure that information is complete. Sometimes, we're a human being. We make mistakes, but if anything missing, you can always go back and talk to your design professional, clarify. But these are the things we keep in mind. Like I said, this one we use the Revit software. There are different software we use. The reason we use the Revit is this can do a 3D modeling. You can even integrate with this building with the MEPs. It's very complicated software. And a lot of bigger, there are bigger architecture firm, even the bigger company, multifamily, office buildings, you have high rise, right? All this like 500, 100, 200 story building, not 200, 100 plus. They use this kind of software, especially for that size of project. It's very important you have to integrate between your building design and MEPs, where you have to make a hole for a ductwork, electrical, plumbing, gas, all that has to be coordinated. Your residential is not that much, but what I'm saying is we can do that with this software. And you do everything 3D. So we model everything in 3D.
Which makes total sense. It really gives you a full sense too with the software, exactly what this house is going to look like at the end.
Yes.
Really closely, like scary close to how it really comes out.
Exactly. So I will, for example, this house, we looked at it, we're looking at it, we're looking on the floor plans only, right? This is the basement plan, but I'm going to show you here. Green Valley Custom Building. So this house is this. So this is the house. You can do the rendering like this, and that's the benefit of a Revit, because you can create a 3D rendering. And you see, we have done all the inside part, outside, not also outside, also inside. You can see some of the furnitures and picture frames and lighting inside the house, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It really and I mean the car in the driveway, like all of it. It really creates a feeling of what it would be like to live there, and like that's the goal, right?
But and this is the backside of it. Now, as you see, it feels like, hey, this is walkout basement. This is not a walkout basement because you see 2 stories above ground. So because when we prepared this rendering, I knew that this house is gonna be, walkout basement. So I need an area where all that is reflected here, So, but now I'll show you another one. I have a similar model I'm building next door, because when I had this property under contract, and the neighbor next door called me and said, hey, looks like you're trying to buy a house next door. I'm also willing to sell. I said, perfect, I'll buy your house too. So we're building 2 houses.
Nice.
Side by side. So I did it very similar, but car garage is on the other side, and I did a little bit of tweak. But this lot has a walkout. See, you can see it right on the back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right from under the surface.
Exactly. You have a patio, you have a deck, the walkout basement. So when I do all these renderings and plans, we do exactly how it's gonna be on the real situation. Okay. So now going back to the foundation plan, I think a basement plan, because there's a difference between the basement plan and the foundation plan. Okay, the terminology. Yeah. Why? The basement plan is more like architectural basement. You have a first floor, second floor. So when you say foundation, it's more like structural items, structural terminology for the basement. Does that make sense? So if somebody say basement plan, you're talking about the architectural plan. Somebody say foundation plan, they're not really looking for the layout and stuff detail here. They are looking for structural information on the foundation, how wide the footing is, how wide the concrete wall is, what the reinforcing, how thick the footings, All that information would be in the foundation plan. But here, you don't see all
Figure
that
out if the
information.
load of the house is being carried correctly.
Correct. Yeah. So here in basement plan, you just kind of see the layout, and you know this is a concrete wall. There's an area where there's a stud wall inside, but you really don't know anything more detail about what type of concrete wall, thickness, reinforcement, footings. All that information is not here. So
Got
for
it.
that, I'm gonna, since I have it here, so I'm gonna quickly show you the foundation plan. So this is called. So this is the foundation plan. See, foundation plan, which is actually basement plan, but the structural plan. So it's a little bit different, right? It's not. It doesn't look the same like before because I don't have to show all the layout inside. I'm only showing the structural elements.
Mm-hmm.
The ones which are load-bearing walls, what the thickened footing, where the columns are, where these, so you'll see those information, like I say, again, quickly wanted to show, but we'll go to this later on, different dates. But this is that, I'm just trying to give a difference between the foundation plan and the basement plan.
Yeah, no, and it's important to know the difference. Like one
Yeah.
is really for style layout, one's really much more structural, engineering based, and you need both in order to get a really good idea of what's happening.
And also, yes, and also look at this one on the basement plan. I have all the dimensions, right? All the dimensions. You need to understand. This is what I tell my designer, that you have to understand when you give this drawing to someone on the field, they should be able to read it and build it. So you have to have a complete information. Let's say, for example, what's the door size? What's the location of the door size? For example, this is a door, right? This is the area where door coming from the house up in the back. So you need to know what is the location. So I'm giving exact dimension. From this corner, you have to go 15 foot 8 inch. That's the center of the opening.
Mm-hmm.
And also the concrete opening, something you have to remember, the concrete wall opening versus stud wall, there's a little bit different. We can go a little bit detailed next time. But quickly, if you have a concrete wall opening, you have to remember you have a door, regular door.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to think about how we're going to attach the door into the concrete wall, right?
Yeah.
Because upstairs on the first floor and second floor, it's a stud. You can nail it, right? You can screw whatever you can do. But here, you cannot just go and screw in the concrete wall. It's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
So what we do is, you have to think through, now when you design it. So what we do, let's say this is a 5 foot double door, okay, of 60 inch. So you have to remember that door have to be nailed somewhere. So I won't be able to nail directly to the concrete wall. So what I have is on the either side of the opening and the top header, you have to put embedded. You have to embed 2x6. Let's say 2x6 pressure treated, because you have a regular lumber, but any lumber that will come in contact with the concrete or masonry or outside the moisture, it has to be pressure treated, right?
Yeah.
So
to prevent mold and all sorts of things, really.
Yeah. So it's very important. It's a pressure treated lumber you use. So let's say this is a 5 foot opening. I'm not going to have only 5 foot because I know, like I say, I have to put 2x6 on this side, which is 1.5 inches. Add an 1.5 inches because you have a 2x6. So instead of 60 inch, I have 63 inch. So make sure when you make a concrete wall opening, when you pour the concrete for the basement wall, the opening you have to leave should be minimum of 63. I tell them leave 64, just to be safe side.
Yeah.
Because if it is like 1 inch or a half inch or even 2 inch wide, I can always fill in with a stud or plywood, or even I can just fill with a foam, right?
Yeah, you can shim it up.
Yeah, you can do it easily. But if the concrete wall is smaller than the actual door, now you are in trouble. You have to go and cut the concrete. You can still cut it, but it's going to be concrete wood. Yes, exactly. So those are the things you have to keep in mind as a design professional. I've seen a lot of people, these are the things, they don't pay attention. This is something I always remember my boss told me 15 years ago when I started my career. The difference between a really good professional versus okay professional is that
Mhm.
the most of the professional, they can take the drawing from 0 to 80%, you know, and
Yep.
most of them they leave that at 20% of the detail. The good design professional will take it to 100%. So you design all this.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people. I've worked in last career since 2003 as a design professional. A lot of people, like, they like, okay, you have a drawing, but a lot of minor details are missing, you know.
And
But
they
if
add
somebody,
up. And like those details that end up missing are the reasons your permits get delayed a month, because you have to keep resubmitting, and it really can mess with your entire project's flow, really.
yeah. So it's very important. That's why paying a professional is, I truly believe in, you have to pay for what the value you bring in, so that
Yep.
sometimes, depending on what type of professional you work with, how their fees are. I'm not saying that paying more doesn't mean always that professional is more expensive, but rule of thumb is that, those quality professionals will tend to charge more, right? Their fees are more.
Yep.
But rather than say, oh, you're too expensive, try to understand it. Maybe it's worth it paying 2,000 more. You don't have any headache down the road. You'll be saving months and weeks of time frame on the
Yep.
project overall. But people, they look at, oh, why I have to pay $1,000 more? But that's true. But again, that's very short-sighted. I say do some research, talk to the people before you hire a design professional. Make sure you find the right design professional. Because architect, I can tell you, architect, building architect, there's so many different architects. They could be only for the office. Maybe they are for commercial building.
Yeah.
They may be for multifamily. They may be for residential. You know what I'm saying? So you
Yeah, and
architect
they're all very different. So
very
different.
You architect doesn't mean that you're specialized in single family residential construction. So I would
Yep.
rather
We're
pay
in this
someone
area.
in the area. Exactly. That's even important. Make sure that you pay $1,000, $2,000 more to the design professional or architect who is very familiar with the new construction, residential new construction in your area. It's gonna save you
Yep.
more than $1,000. Believe me. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And the delays will cost way more than $1,000.
It
Like
does.
you'd have a monthly interest carrying payment on a mortgage for the land acquisition of more than $1,000 a month, and that's
It
just
is.
1 month. If you had a
That's
1 month delay.
the thing about not just that, because of it, the stress it will bring to you as a contractor, as an investor. That's a different topic, okay? Because if the
Yeah,
project is delayed, people are not showing up now. You have to pay money and interest, and also you are bringing this stress in your life. To me, it's not worth it, right? So those are the things you have to keep in
yeah,
mind. I do. Um, but make sure that all the information, when you look at the drawing, make sure that you have complete set of plans. Sometimes I work with a lot of builders. They say, okay, I have an architect I work with. He's going to do all the work. I'm going to go and build it. No, I would say, please take a time and review yourself, because architects, they're also
Mhm.
human beings. They make mistakes, right? And sometimes,
Sure, absolutely.
especially this time, everybody's so freaking busy. So it's very
And they're
likely
trying to
you're
go
gonna miss it.
fast.
Yeah, so they're trying to rush and quick. So, and what I say as a design, as a contractor, as owner, please take a time, try to understand the drawing. You should. I have a lot of, now a lot of builders, they call me and saying, hey, the civil engineer I'm working with, this information was missing. This is not missing. I really didn't understand it, and blaming and crying. I said, dude, okay, you are also 50% responsible for this one. I tell you upfront. You have to
Yep.
look at the drawing. What you didn't really know, I trusted him. I know, I understand it. He trusted you. But you, as a owner, as a builder, you should also review it, because you should know what you're building. You should know what you're getting. You cannot just completely depend on your design professional. Unfortunately, a lot of builders nowadays, they are so busy, they don't have time to review it. That's what we screwed up. So I think we have to take a time, review it, fully understand all these design documents, so when time comes, you are ready. The problem is now, when there's a problem, they'll start trying to figure it out. You should have figured it out, all of this, before even you start the project. That's the, I think,
Yeah,
right
before
problem
you
right now.
start tearing down a house or or cutting trees or leveling the lot. Like this should have already been caught way before you're doing anything like that.
A lot of things happen in terms of dimension, because one thing, okay, I think this is probably going to stop, but one thing you see all the dimensions in architecture plan. See floor dimensions, right?
Yeah.
But then let's go quickly down to the structural framing plan or foundation plan. So sometimes I put it for the deck, but there's no dimensions here. You don't put a dimension.
Yeah.
There's no dimension. Now you're asking why? Because you have to remember, as a builder, as a contractor, you have to look at all the drawing. You have to look at the grading plan. You have to look at architecture plan and structure. You cannot just look at architecture structure only. I've seen a lot of concrete contractors. They look at the architecture structure only. Hey, you don't have enough information. You said, yes, I don't have enough information, because you are not looking at all set of plans. Because I'm not providing all the information in one place, because you're supposed to go back to foundation plan or basement plan, architecture plan, and elevations and grading plan to figure out all the dimensions. So I intentionally, I don't put any dimensions on structural, because this background comes from architects. Architects already show the dimensions. Why I show it? It's redundant. You know what I'm saying? You have to think about redundancy. Sometimes when I copy, I may make mistakes. So it's supposed to be, let's say, 20 feet. How about I put 21? That's messed up. So what I'm basically saying that, okay, I'm not showing any information here. You only show framing information, but all the dimensions related, you have to go to architectural. Building height or, grading or outside elevation, you have to look at the grading plan, civil engineering. So those are all related. So all these documents, you have to review it carefully. If you do take a time, it's going to save your life, headache, money, right? So
a lot of time, life, headache, and money.
Money,
sure.
Exactly. So like I said, so make sure that all the windows openings are there. You have. So one thing quickly here on this side. So we'll talk later, but if you have a bedroom here in the basement, you have to have an egress window.
Yep.
Right. So this is the bedroom. This is the exercise room. So I have this slider, like a smaller slider, just for the light to come, but I don't have any, egress window. But the bedroom, this is a requirement. You have to have an egress window, double hung, right? All the requirements. And when you have it, you have to have a window well. So the purpose is you should be able to get out from the door in case of emergency, not going through the basement. So that's all the bedrooms. That's a requirement, including the ones in the second floor. So you have to have an egress window. But in the basement, you have an egress window. But then when you get out, you have to have a well like this so that you can easily get out. And you have to have a ladder and all that things. It has to be properly shown here. So we have a weight bar, all the dimensions. So one of the things is that all this cabinetry detail, you don't have to have it in building plan. You can always modify. So if you have a big kitchen, all the layout for the kitchen cabinets, you don't have to be 100% accurate here. This is just a schematic to show the location, right?
Yeah.
So you can always work with your kitchen designer to have that layout finalized, but of course you have to finalize before your plumber start running the plumbing pipe, because you need to know where your sinks are going, where freeze. If you have a freeze nowadays, you have a water supply for the ice in the water, right? Things like that. So those things, if you have, let's say, stove and gas, you need to know where you have to bring the gas line. Same thing with the fireplace. If you have a fireplace, you need to know, you have to show exactly where the fireplace is going so that plumber can run the gas, if it's a gas fireplace or electricity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense. Because really, you can't install any of those things until all the mechanicals are installed and utilities are installed anyway.
Yeah.
So even if you're not 100% on your kitchens when you're designing them, it's really important to have a basic idea of the layout so you can put some of those things that are much more difficult to change later, like you mentioned, your plumbing, HVAC vents, and electrical water lines, all of that.
Exactly. For example, this house, I have a kitchen layout, I have a big island. I have all this base cabinet, range. See, pretty much this is almost like 90-95% schematic layout done. But this is really helps, right? Because if you just say kitchen only and you don't show anything, it's too much, too vague. And you probably would be able to get a permit, but I think give some ideas of the overall layout, what you intend to do in the kitchen space, but then fine tune, you can always do it later with the kitchen designer, but at least you have to have basic layout,
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
You have a direct fireplace. Something I'm learning is that when you have a fireplace in range, you have to be looking at each other directly in the center. See how I have this on the center of the wall? If you put it in the side, probably it's going to look odd, right? So things like that, the location of it. And here also, they are trying to face each other, in line. And sometimes I try to do with the island, it may not work all the time, but if there's a sink, I try to do the same thing. So they are in the same line. Same thing like recess light. Sometimes you have like bunch of recess light in the family room, kitchen room. One of the things you pay attention is, are the recess light are on the same line? I've seen many houses.
I always notice when they're not.
Yeah.
I always notice when they're not.
Yeah. I've seen it like 90%, 95% of the house, there's always something, Now I'm so used to, first thing I look at the front door, I look at the recess light. And it's like when I see this, at least one or two not lining up, it's just my whole first impression. Not everybody pay attention, but someone like us in the construction industry, we know what to look for enough. So, when I open the door, I know that those are the places people mess up. And that will tell you as a good builder, you really pay attention or not, or you're just building it, because nobody's looking at it. But if you look at it, you see it. It looks ugly. I'm telling you, if it's supposed to be straight, you go like, what? I don't know. Yeah, it's just for me, it's not good feeling.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Okay, so I think this is it for today. Maybe.
Yeah, this has been a lot of detailed information, and especially on like where to find specific details on all of these plans, and making sure that you have all of the permits and plans together. So if you have any questions about it, please do leave it in the comments, and Raj and I will get back to you soon.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
We will see you guys next week.
See you
Thank you.
Next week or Thursday.
Thursday. Sorry, we'll see you on Thursday. This was a special edition.
See you on Thursday. This is a makeup from last week.
Yes.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye.